Hello there everyone. Today we're gonna tie this. This is a pike fly, but it's actually a pattern that I used for Dorado in Argentina, and that was a fantastic, fabulous, great trip. We had a lot of fish, even though it was the low season, and we got home just in time before all this Corona stuff. So that was really great. But this is one of the patterns that proved the best over in Argentina, and as you can see with this fly. This one really caught a lot of Dorados, or maybe just a few. I can't recall actually, but Dorados are have very rough teeth, and they mangle a fly beyond recognition. The piranhas are even worse. But well, that's a tale for another day. This is the same type of fly as that, and this is something I'm going to use a lot more in my pike flies from now on. It consists of a lot of very lively materials that really has nice movement. Then it has a deer hair head with some weighted eyes, some metal eyes, to give this a nice buoyancy move in the water. A really cool way of doing things, and a style of flies that I'm going to use more and more. I think because of the very nice movement, and it's not that difficult to tie. So basically some cool new types of flies, of pike flies, that I haven't done so before, but something that I'm gonna use a lot more in the time to come, because these have an insane movement in the water. A lot of ostrich, a lot of feathers, and some bucktail, and that's basically and of course a bit of flesh and stuff like that. That's basically what this fly is composed of. So now we're off to tying the fly, and I'm looking forward to that. So here goes. Okay, so let's get started. Here I have attached an Agrentina light predator. This is a size 6.0. If you're going to tie this for Dorado, I suggest you use another hook, because that is quite a lot stronger and has a more thick wire. But for pikes this is fine, but for Dorado, because of the current and stuff like that, I would recommend the not the light predator, but just the predator Agrentina hook. That was the one I used in Argentina, and that really worked well. The first thing we need to attach is a pair of eyes, and these are pocket eyes. But if you're anywhere else than in Denmark, you're probably allowed to use lead eyes, and these works really nice. This is pocket eyes. They are made from brass. They add some quite nice weight to the fly, and I attach these by turning, in eighths around here, and then I apply a lot of pressure every now and then to really make sure that it stays there. Also, I'm going to take some sabagap and add that to where I tie the eyes down, just to make sure that it really stays in place. So a lot of 8 turns here. Pull a lot on the eyes, and it's important that you do not have too much room here in front of the eyes for the deer hair head, because if you have too much room, then you're gonna make your head too long, too elongated, and that's not something you're going for. Another thing is these eyes are fine as they are, but if you want to add a bit of coolness, you can there is a dentation here, so you can add a 3D eye in size 5 or 6 millimeters, and just to make sure that it stays there, I'm gonna coat it with some Red Sab UV glue. Basically just a thin coating of UV glue, like this. And of course you need to do that on both sides. For the speed, I'm only gonna do it on one side to show you, but it's exactly the same on the other side. No surprises there. And I must say the Red Sab is some of the best UV glue I've tried, and their light is also very good. The Red Sab light here, so really good quality for your money, and it works very well. The Red Sab has a pretty cool feature. It has some when you've attached the tip here, you can basically put this on here, and there is a small thing in here that keeps it locked in place. A really nice feature. Okay, so now we're gonna let the sabagap and the UV glue do their thing, and then we're gonna tie further along the hook shank here. I want to move a bit down the hook shank here, but not too long. So about here is ideal. I have about 1 centimeter left of hook gape, and I want to do this to give this fly the right tapering. Just gonna attach a bit more tying thread to have a solid foundation for the first other thing that we need for this fly, and that is of course the ostrich. So I'm gonna take a bundle of black ostrich, and I'm gonna tie that as the tail. This will give the fly a really awesome amount of life, and this material is very light. And doesn't take up, doesn't add weight to the fly, but it really gives this fly a tremendous amount of kick and some awesome looking movement in the waters. So basically, I take a bundle of black ostrich. And I prefer this over the times I've tied a lot of tube flies and a lot of different stuff for pike, but I must say more and more I come to rely on basically just these hooked flies. I think they're pretty neat, they're very cool, they're very easy to change, and also I've tried over the past years to tie more and more flies where I don't have to attach the tail, a wriggle tail. I'm not saying that the wriggle tails aren't good. They're pretty nice. They look absolutely awesome in the water, but they do tend to weigh quite a lot. And if you're having trouble casting the biggest of flies and you have a wriggle tail or a big dragon tail, a lot of the times those are one of the major things regarding why the big flies become difficult to cast. Also, you'll have an attachment out here and stuff like that. So I try to build in an effect kind of like the wriggle tails in my flies instead of actually having a wriggle tail. But that's probably just me, that's a bit odd. The next thing is to take a bundle of black bucktail. I have the ostrich first, because then the fly will have the right shape and the right tapering, and that's why I don't tie the bucktail before the ostrich. If I tied the bucktail before the ostrich, then it would give the fly a lot of bulk, but it would also make the fly have not the best profile in the water. So basically, I just tie down this bucktail here. Again, apply a lot of thread and a lot of pressure to make sure this is as strong and durable as possible. Of course, if you're in Argentina and you hook into a piranha, then there's nothing you can do. But if for anything else, it's nice to apply some tying thread to make sure that your fly is as durable as possible. So basically, there we have the tail, the kicker, the bucktail. We can trim that down a bit. It's not that important. It's going to be covered by a lot of other stuff in a second. But and as you can see, I don't have any middle body on this. You could apply some. You could use some sinew, aquaveil or something like that. But I think it's fine like this, and it will give the fly a bit more transparency in the water, and also make the fly a lot lighter and a lot easier to cast. And when you're fishing for Dorado or for pike, for that matter, you're gonna cast a lot of casts during a day, and that's why I prefer flies that are easy to cast and light, especially for Dorado, because you're basically hammering away hour after hour after hour. So I attach a new bundle of bucktail, and this I'm going to tie fairly close to the eyes. And as you can see now, I have the translucent foam here. It's very see-through. It's still very light because we haven't used that many materials, and it just it just looks awesome. I'm going to cut away as much of this as I can, because a lot of things is going to be going on up here. We're going to have quite a lot of other materials. We're going to have some flesh, some Icelandic sheep, and also some more ostrich in a second. And that's why it's important to cut this part away as much as you can. Oh, like this. And then I'm gonna add a nice material that's called Icelandic sheep. And the reason why I'm gonna add the Icelandic sheep now is I want, it's a material like this. It's fairly large, fairly big, a bundle, but there's a lot of wool on a piece like this. So basically I want to have this Icelandic sheep in yellow to give some contrast in the wing, to have a complementary, I think it's called, color inside my wing, basically just to have something that makes the fly stand out even more. And when you have a bundle of the Icelandic sheep like this, see, quite a big bundle, then you can pull out all the woolly part, which is this. You can use this for a head maybe, or you can basically just tear this up and use it as dubbing. It's quite nice as dubbing as well. So that's a nice little trick to save some money. I'm just gonna leave it there on the table for now. So, and basically now I have a wing that's gonna act as the contrast here. I'm gonna tie this on top, because all the rest of these things are going to be tied on top of the fly, to again give it the right shape, give it the right look, give it the right feel, and the right tapering, like so. There you have the contrasting yellow Icelandic sheep. Icelandic sheep is a much underappreciated or undervalued product. I really enjoy using it both for salmon trouts, for sea trout flies, for pike flies, and for stuff like this. It really has a nice movement and a nice look and a nice feel to it. It's very long. Then it will have this very clear yellow contrast inside the wing. If you have some grizzly yellow hackles or some grizzly orange hackles or something like that, then you can use those as well. But I want to keep the material set, the cost of the material set and the cost of this to tie this fly as far down as possible. And that's why I use the Icelandic sheet. It's a fairly inexpensive material, and it really does the trick. So the next thing is some yellow Fleshaboo Magnum, also a great material. This is one of the best flesh materials for pike flies. It's 52 centimeters long, so you really have an insane amount of flesh in a bundle of this. And I pulled it so it wasn't completely uniform in length. I want this to maybe be a bit longer than the ostrich we tied in the first place. So this will be kind of like, also it will sparkle a lot out in the water, but also have kind of like a flash effect down in the tail. Cut this away, like that. And then we're gonna add the second to last touch beside the head. And for this, I have some really awesome big pike saddle feathers. Saddle feathers is one of the coolest things for pike flies of all things, because they are so alive in the water, and they really kick a lot in the water, and also they're quite durable. So they will make your fly swim really cool, and also they can last for quite a lot of pikes. Again, they will only last you one piranha, but they will last you more than one pike. Many pikes. These are actually so long that I didn't use the full length. And I'm gonna make these even longer than the rest, so that these will really kick and pulsate in the current behind the rest of the fly. This will also give the correct tapering of the fly, and really make really make this fly look perfect in the water, like this. We're gonna zoom back in so you can see what I'm doing. I tied these on top, so basically they're gonna be kind of like the top of this, the same way I did with the flesh and the same way I did with the Icelandic sheet. I tied it on top of the fly to build the fly and to give it the right proportions, and to give it the right fishy look in the water. The last thing for this is to add a bundle more of the ostrich hurls, and this is basically to give it even more movement, but also to have kind of like a corona or a halo up here of ostrich, so that that the fly comes more together and looks more uniform, and also to give a good transition from the deer hair head to the rest of the fly. And this should not be as long. This should not be as long as the tail, and should not be as long as the saddle feathers. This is just such an awesome pattern. Thank you, Christian, for giving me some of these. This is just an awesome pattern. And you can see I really use a lot of tension here to get the and if you look at it now, just like this, then this is actually a really cool looking fly. You can definitely fish it like this, and it would be great. It would work very great like this. But the deer hair head we're gonna make in a second is gonna make it look even better. There's one thing that's important to do before you do the deer head, and that is to add the eyes. So basically, these pocket eyes, they have a small dentation where you can add a 3D eye if you like, and I like that. It's not something that's really important, but a 5 or a 6 millimeter but eyes here, but it's gonna look awesome. And well, I'm gonna have to take some snapshots for YouTube for this, so of course I'm gonna make this file look as delicious as possible. So I'm gonna take a bit of, I just added it into the groove on the pocket eyes here. If you have lead eyes or something like that, you'll have something that has a pupil on there already, then you don't need to do this. But for these, this looks good. And then to make sure that it stays there, I'm just gonna apply a small amount of red sap UV glue on top. The red sap is an awesome product, the best UV glue I've tried, and I'm very fond of that. So that was the first side, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. These pocket eyes are large, and for the large, a 5 or a 6 millimeter eye will fit in there. Like that. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Now we're good to go with the final part of this fly, and that is the part that maybe takes the most time and is the most difficult, because we need to have 4 bundles of deer hair to make the muddler head. And the first color I'm going to use is black. I'm going to take a bundle of black deer hair, and I just have the deer hair like this, and then I put it so it is the tips are pointing backwards, and I want them as far backwards as possible, because then they're going to make up a really nice transition between the muddler head and the rest of the fly. And I make 2 very careful turns before I apply some pressure. Then I take some very careful turns before I apply more pressure, because it's very important, if you want this fly to look as cool as it's possible, to have the black part only on top. And then I'm going to look from the front here, and I'm going to check that the black deer hair is only on, I'm going to show you, is only on half of this. I don't know how easy that is to see, but the black deer hair is only on top now, and only it's 180 degrees, so it's half a circle. It's on the top half of the circle here. One more time with the tying thread to make sure that it really stays there. Then I'm gonna turn the fly over, and I have to adjust the camera for that, for you to see. And so you can see there was a few of the deer hair there, but you see all the deer hair are on top. And then now I need a bundle of yellow deer hair to make up the head, because as you can see on the finished fly, where did I have it? Here. I have a bundle of yellow, and then I have a red to be kind of like the finishing hook point for the fish here. So first a bundle of yellow, and this part of the fly is the hardest one to do. So take the yellow here, hold that in place, and then 2 very careful turns here. Very careful turns, and I try to do kind of like a jiggling motion as I turn these, so that the deer hair won't get caught in between here. And then when you have that, support it and pull on it. Like this. That is perfect. So I'll fold all of this back here. And try to see if you have a deer hair that is in the wrong location, and then just move it. And apply a lot of pressure, like this. Okay. Then I'm gonna take the red deer hair. And take a smaller bundle of this than of the yellow, because we do not want the red one has to be a fixating or a hook point, but it doesn't has to be as big. So basically, and this is tricky. I need to move the thread first. I should have done that before. Sorry. So I move the thread up here, and apply some tying thread to just where the eye is, without getting too much deer hair in the way. And then I take this smaller bundle of red deer hair, and I have, and then I've changed hands. I've changed hands on the bobbin to try to get the deer hair without getting any of the black, to get the deer hair in here. I'm just gonna see if I manage to pull this off. Gonna look from the front here, and if you have only made 2 or 3 turns of the tying thread, you can actually hold the deer hair and look at it, and then make a couple more, fold the black back, make a couple more turns, and then pull on it so it stays in place, and it's strong and it's durable. I'm gonna show you how it looks from your side. Like this, you see, I have a few strands a few hairs that are not correct, but I'm gonna force them, either break them off or force them to be in the right position in a second. Because, well, as I said, this is for YouTube, so I better do good. I better do my best. And it can look pretty good with a few strands of red in there, because it will kind of look like, you know, some lava effect or something like that, or the head is bleeding or something like that. But if this should be as clean as possible, then to have it as clean as possible, you want ideally to have none of the red ones inside the head. I just need to adjust the camera once more, so you can follow this more easily, like that. So you can see I'm gonna force. There is a few strands of red up here, and basically I'm just gonna cut those away, so that I only have, you can see that I only have the red in a 180 degrees of the circle underneath. Now I'm gonna take the second part of the black deer hair. Again, this bundle is not as big as the first. Depending on how much room you have up, you have to work with. And then I place this on top, and again I take these 2 very, very gentle turns of the tying thread before applying the pressure. Careful not to get too much in the way here, like this. And it looks good on my side, but if it looks good on your side, I can only check that in a second. I have a few red strands that tried to follow up into the black. I think I got those sorted now. Perfect. This looks absolutely perfect. I'm gonna fold every one of these deer hairs backwards, and for this you can use one of these Rensetti hair packers. These are very good for packing the hair, and also if you make poppers and stuff like that. So basically I'm gonna apply a bit of pressure. That was a bit too much. I got that to move, or was that no? That was actually perfect. So I just moved everything. I moved everything a bit back, and that cleared up the eye here. Made the eye easy accessible for me. So I'm gonna hold everything back. That's easier said than done. And then I'm gonna make my whip finish. This deer hair packer is really cool if you make deer hair poppers as well. Really awesome. Really cool tool that can make you pack your deer hair insanely tight. Also for bombers and stuff like that, this tool is just out of this world. Really an awesome tool. So basically I'm going to show you how it looks from the front here. As you can see, I have most of the red is underneath now. There is a few strands, and I'm gonna pick these off one by one. If you have a pincer, you can use that. Oh, basically they were the right way. They were just entangled a bit. There, you see now, perfect. And then I'm gonna trim this. And you can use a razor for this, but normally I just use my scissor. So what we want now is when you trim a muttler head like this, it's very important. It's very important that you only cut upwards. You can never cut down like this, or you can never cut from behind like this. If you do that, you will ruin the shape of the head. But this is a fairly big head, so I can do this in some pretty fast cuts to just kind of get the basic. I make one this way, one this way, one here, one here, one here. And now basically I have the beginning of the head. And if you've played around with bucktail before, you will know that that this is quite messy. You'll know what to expect. So if you can, then do this outside, or because even a waste basket like this I have attached to my vise. This is a cool thing. If you don't have one of these, by the way, you should get one. One of the best thing I ever bought for my vise. They're fairly inexpensive, and they really help you clean your messes. Help you with your messes. So basically, I cut this like so, and what I want is I want to cut all of these that have the stunted ends, but I want all of those that has the natural tapering to be there still. So I'm gonna cut like this, and always I cut the same way. I cut in an angle towards the head to give it the right tapering, to give it the right look. I never cut completely down or from behind. That's the most important thing when doing muttler heads. And it's tempting to do it to do the other thing, but I guarantee you your flies will not benefit from it. That's just someone at the door. I'm sorry about that. I'm in the showroom, so that's probably just a customer. Someone else will handle that. I try to do this so you can see everything I do, but it's yeah. And the thing about the deer hair is it contains a lot of air. And this air is a nice thing because it will give this fly, even though it has quite a lot of weight with the eyes, it will give the fly a nice buoyancy and make this fly really move erratic in the water. So it will make the fly move from side to side and also balance a lot in the water. And tied like this, it will last to quite a lot of fish. And you see how the eyes looks quite good on the fly now, and the yellow part here of the wing gives the contrast, and you have the tail with the feathers and the ostrich and everything. This fly, I guarantee you, it will swim insanely awesome, and it will look just pure evil. And I'm gonna catch a lot of pike on this. And the next time I go to fish for Dorado, because there's gonna be a next time that was just freaking awesome, I'm gonna have enough of these in my box. I can assure you. But basically, this was it for this fly. It's now done. I just have to change a little here, so there's not that much lighting. Basically, that was it for this fly. I haven't figured out a name for this yet, but it's gonna have to be something probably in Spanish, and probably for to do with Christian, because basically it's his pattern. But it's a cool fly, and it swims awesome. It fishes very well. It's a bit difficult to tie, but it doesn't have that many materials, so it's not as expensive as many pike flies you could tie. And of course you can vary this in a million different colors, and it will perform in any variations that you would wish to tie this in, because basically the idea of this fly is to have a fly that moves some water, swims great, and has a tail part that really kicks off. And this one does. They're coming for you. As always, if you haven't done so already, then please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't visited my shop, or you want to do that again, please do so. It's Nordic Anglers. We have all the materials and a full material kit for this fly available, so you could buy all the materials needed to tie this fly in one click. There is a link here in the corner to that. Otherwise, you can see also a link to the shop. It's basically just nordicanglers.com, and we have, I think, one of the largest selection of fly tying in Europe. So and also all other fly fishing equipment. So swing by there. That would mean a lot. I hope you have catch a lot of fish, and all there is left to do is to wish you good luck out on the waters. Thank you for watching. Take care.